There is a peculiar kind of silence that no one speaks about on the most significant days of a human life. It does not reside in the music, nor in the words of blessing, nor does it appear in those perfectly composed photographs. It lives deep within, in the place where a person stands on the threshold of marriage, yet their heart is not truly present. And what is most unsettling is this: from the outside, everything still appears correct, entirely reasonable, utterly mature. You may have felt this before, or perhaps you have seen it lingering in someone's eyes, a quiet sense of relief at finally being settled, yet shadowed by something unnamed. It is not an obvious pain, but a subtle, persistent emptiness, as though you are stepping into a life that has already been arranged for you, yet not the life your soul has truly longed for. And so you begin to whisper to yourself, perhaps love is not so important after all, perhaps safety is enough, perhaps feeling will come later. Yet in the deepest, quietest corner of your being, there remains a voice, one you try not to hear, asking a question that refuses to disappear. If this is the right decision, why does it feel as though something within me is being lost? We often believe that marriage is the natural outcome of love, but if you look more deeply, you will see that this is a relatively recent story in human history. For most of our existence, people married for survival, for financial security, for status, for family. Love, if it appeared at all, was merely an added reward, not a prerequisite. And although the modern world has changed, a part of our mind still operates by those ancient rules. There is an invisible pressure that almost everyone has felt at some point, a kind of social clock that never truly makes a sound, yet is always present. At a certain age, you begin to see those around you gradually settling down. Harmless questions start to appear more frequently. When will you get married? When will you have children? And slowly, those questions no longer come from the outside, they begin to echo within you. When that happens, the mind quietly shifts the way it makes decisions. It no longer seeks what makes you feel most alive. Instead, it begins to seek what feels least risky. You stop asking, do I truly love this person? And start asking, is this person good enough to build a stable life with? And that is the moment when love is replaced by reason. For many, this choice does not feel wrong at all. It can even bring a sense of relief, as though they have finally escaped uncertainty. But what they fail to see is this: they are not truly choosing a person, they are choosing a feeling of safety, and that safety in many cases is not freedom, but a subtle form of fear. To understand why a person can enter marriage without love, we must return to a time before they even knew what love was. Because long before you choose another person, your mind has already been quietly drawing a map of love. A map shaped not by logic, but by what you have lived through, what you have felt, and what you have endured. If you grew up in an environment where love was intertwined with instability, you learned to associate intensity with attachment. If love in your family was inconsistent, you became accustomed to having to strive to be loved. And in adulthood, you do not seek someone who brings you peace. You seek someone who feels familiar, even when that familiarity carries pain. On the other hand, if you once felt suffocated by control or deprived of personal space, you may unconsciously avoid true intimacy. You choose someone who is good enough, but not truly close. A relationship that is not deep enough to wound you, yet not deep enough to truly connect you. And you call that stability. What is difficult to recognize is this: these choices do not occur consciously. You do not sit down and decide to choose someone you do not love. You simply feel that this is the most reasonable path. But in truth, you are being guided by something far deeper, the need for safety in the way you learned long ago. And sometimes, the greatest tragedy is not that you fail to find love. It is that when love truly appears in a healthy, calm, grounded form, you do not recognize it, because it does not resemble anything you have ever known. At first, this choice can feel like a victory. You have avoided chaos. You no longer have to chase uncertain emotions. You have someone stable, a life that is predictable, a future that seems clear. Everything works, everything makes sense, and that is precisely the problem. Because what no one tells you is this: a relationship can function perfectly in logic, yet fail completely in feeling. You do not argue much, there is no drama, no obvious pain, but there is also no aliveness, no sense of being seen, of being touched, of being deeply connected. Gradually, a very subtle shift begins to take place. You start lowering your expectations. You convince yourself that love does not need to be intense, that passion is something frivolous, that maturity means acceptance. And in that process, you do not realize that you are trading away something essential: your capacity to feel. Then the body begins to speak in ways the mind cannot control, an unexplainable fatigue, a quiet, persistent emptiness. Moments when you feel more at ease alone, even though you do not dislike the other person, not because the relationship is wrong, but because it lacks something fundamental: emotional vitality. And here lies the deepest paradox. The armor you built to protect yourself from pain becomes the cage that confines you to a life without love. You are not hurting enough to leave, yet not fulfilled enough to truly stay. You exist somewhere in between, in a state where everything is fine, but nothing feels truly right. But the truth is, recognizing that you are living in a relationship without love is not the end. It is the beginning of a far more difficult question: what now? And the answer is not always to leave. Because life is not as simple as the advice you find online. There is family, there are responsibilities, there are bonds that cannot simply be severed overnight. What matters more is that you begin to return to yourself, not to judge, but to listen. What have you become so accustomed to that you now call it love? What feelings have you abandoned in order to preserve this sense of stability? And is there a way for you to live more truthfully, even if you cannot change your circumstances immediately? For some, the path is to rebuild, not by forcing emotion, but by creating space for honesty, conversations that no longer revolve around obligation, but around the authentic self. Intimacy that does not begin with the body, but with the courage to be seen. And sometimes, love not as an initial feeling, but as something that can be relearned, can emerge if both are willing. For others, truth leads to a different choice, not an escape, but a conscious departure. Not because the other person is wrong, but because you no longer wish to live in the absence of yourself. And this requires a different kind of courage, the courage to accept loss, to face loneliness in exchange for honesty. Whichever path it may be, what matters most is not whether you stay or leave, it is whether you are still present in your own life. Because a loveless marriage is not the greatest tragedy. The greatest tragedy is when you slowly disappear, and no one, not even yourself, realizes it. And if you are listening to these words, perhaps a part of you has already begun to awaken, not to destroy everything, but to see more clearly. If this story resonates with you, stay. Not only with this message, but with your own journey. Because sometimes, what we need most is not an immediate answer, but the quiet knowing that we are no longer alone within these questions.